City Council Committee on Ordinance, Licensing, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of a Whole, will meet in person on Thursday, April 9th, 2026 at 6 p.m. for the purpose of discussing an ordinance amending Chapter 38, Chapter 38, Section 13 and 14, snow removal. Fines to discuss snow removal best practices and enforcement. The meeting will be held in City Council Chambers, 93 Washington Street, Salem, Massachusetts, second floor. Below is the link for Zoom. Password 541057 or telephone number. In person shall be the primary method of public access to such meetings, and secondary method for public access may be provided if technologically feasible. Ugh. All right, so tonight we have on our agenda order number 61, ordinance amending Chapter 38, 13, and 14, snow removal fines, and order number 66, meet to discuss snow removal and best practice and enforcement. From the committee, we have Councilor Smith, Councilor Jalapa, and then from the Committee of a Whole, we have Councilor Sidoriak, Councilor President Merkel, Councilor Flynn, Councilor King, Councilor Tarowski, and Councilor Davis. All right, so I believe number 61 was brought in from the mayor for removal of snow fines, and number 66 was brought in by Councilor Hapworth a few weeks back. Also joining us from the committee is Councilor Prosnewski. Thanks for coming. All right, so I'm going to start this off with, and from the city, we have Mr. Ray Joden, our Director of DPS. Thanks for coming. So Ray, I'm going to start with you coming on up here, and we're going to talk all about snow. And just let everyone know, this is not a roast of Ray. This is just a simple dialogue and conversation on how we could do better and all the ins and outs. So take it away. Thank you, Ray.
No worries. Thank you. So, unfortunately, being very unprepared, I will sit there and open up to the councilors for questions.
All right, under discussion, who would like to go first? Councilor Smith.
Just point of order. Are we discussing 60 first?
Let's start with 61. Let's start with the fines.
Thank you.
Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, Chair Varela. Ray, I don't have any questions for you immediately, and I might be a minute, so feel free to sit down. I do want to just address the elephant in the room, which is that the ordinance amendment that was given to us by the mayor is actually very similar to what's currently in our municipal code. So last year, the City Council voted to increase the fines in Section 13, and I think also Section 14. That was passed for first passage on June 12th. It was adopted for second passage on June 26th, and it was approved by the mayor on June 30th. I think there was some confusion when that was getting updated to municipal code or not, so this is probably going to make this a little bit more complicated to discuss this. The obvious new item is the difference for the commercial fines. So Section 13 is, I think, exactly the same in addition to the commercial, and Section 14, there is a additional increase for subsequent offenses for residential, and then there is no additional for commercial. So my question for the city, and this I don't think is something that Ray could answer, but is, did these new fines get implemented? Were folks ticketed as that? Did it work? And are we getting more compliance? But I don't think anyone's here to answer those questions. So frankly, I am inclined to not recommend this to the council, although I'm interested in if folks think that we should discuss the validity of the commercial fines. Thank you.
Thank you. So I kind of made a mistake and invite Vula here, who's our enforcement for this. To my knowledge, it seems like Vula and inspectional services are proactively starting to actually talk to residents about snow removal, especially this season. And that seemed to be a point of contention for some residents, but I kind of agree with Councilor Jalapa, like, should we be increasing the fines right now? I mean, I think enforcement of the sidewalks, or at least our inspectional services, starting to open up dialogue with repeat offenders is something that should be happening to actually mitigate this issue with snow removal. So under discussion, Councilor Smith, then Councilor King, and then Councilor Sidoriak.
Thank you, Chair. So yes, just to clarify here, so in our Muni Code now, the fines are $50 for a first offense and $100 for a subsequent offense. This is amending an old ordinance that was updated last year. In speaking to Inspectional Services, they were unable to provide me with any ticket data from either this year or last year, so I'm going to assume that 0 fines were issued because I have no other way of taking that. And I'm sure that it is a non-zero number. We just don't have that. If anyone was able to get that, I'd love to hear it. However, I do know that fines were issued at the previous rate of $25 for a first offense and $50 for a subsequent offense. So they were not doing the new rate this year. It may be best, in my opinion, to continue another year with the rate as amended last year of $50 and subsequent offense $100, at least for residential property owners. The discussion of commercial is something I would like to have as well, but I would just like to make that point that we have not undergone a season with the previously agreed upon fines. Thanks.
Under discussion, Councilor King.
Thank you. Not being a member of the committee, I would also say I think that a conversation with Inspectional Services would be warranted before making any changes to this, just to understand their current enforcement practices. I know we definitely had people in Ward 5 who received tickets. Some of those tickets were hundreds of dollars, and I think it was maybe they had been away for a couple days on vacation, came home, and at that point they had like stacked up. I'm not sure the full details. That's the type of thing that I would love to talk to Inspectional Services about before we go about increasing the fines or any of this. Yeah, I think we should just learn more data from them on how they're currently enforcing this.
Excellent. Councilor Sidoriak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not as a member of the committee. So we've had a few conversations, not necessarily related to this, where we've got the city coming and saying that, no offense, not to put a spot on anyone, that they're not prepared, even though these are conversations that we've set up for months. And we can talk about, we don't have the data. Okay, the city needs to bring the data, right? They need to make the case for this. And we can talk about, well, we need an additional year of these current rates because we don't know what's out there. Fine, but the city needs to have some sort of presentation of this, because what if the next year, we didn't collect it. In Ward 3, we've got kids walking in the street going to school. Collins Middle School, the high school, we got kids walking over huge mounds of snow. They can't focus on learning if they have to think about, how do I get back home? And God forbid a kid gets hurt. And so, yeah, we can have conversations of, well, I hope the city can bring us some data and maybe we'll change the fines. But really, conversation is, what makes people compelled to clear the sidewalks? Because currently, whether people are getting fined or not, it's not working. So I guess what I want to say is the city needs to do better in many different avenues on the presentations and the data that they bring forward to us to make our informed decisions. And then we actually need to make decisions that compel people in this city to take care of their neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, Chair Varela. I think I'm in agreement with the Ward 3 councilor that, and I think the Ward 5 councilor and perhaps the Ward 2 councilor, that, I would like to see the pitch for this, right? Like, if the idea of this ordinance is to ensure that our sidewalks are clear, I want to understand from, the executive branch of the city how this will do that. And I'm not convinced it will. That said, I think, in favor of the commercial separation. I live near one of the larger offenders of the city that's a commercial property that routinely doesn't clear their snow. And there is a business decision that can be made that says, you know what, it's cheaper for us to eat the fine than to clear our snow. My first question, of course, are they being fined? and I don't know. So I'm not sure where we want to take this order with the fines in particular. There's definitely a different conversation for number 62. But I don't know if anyone has any other thoughts. I'm inclined to make a motion to amend this just to keep the commercial in and keep everything else as written currently in the ordinance. Thoughts?
Under discussion, Councillor King.
I am inclined, thank you, not being a member of the committee, I'm inclined to agree with the Ward 6 councilor in terms of possibly just leaving the commercial in if we were going to just pass something sooner. Because I do think the commercial businesses are the worst offenders. When we think of children walking through the street when they should be able to walk on the sidewalk, things like that, I'm thinking really along like Highland Ave and areas where we really had high schoolers like walking literally with a lane of traffic set aside for the high schoolers to walk to school. I will say, I think that in all fairness to our city staff, some of these meetings were scheduled on short notice, and it is hard to kind of be ready with things. I'm a data scientist by trade, and like it does take, you gotta like get your data together, and it takes some time to do that. So I do think maybe we have a lot of time until the snow comes back, so we can definitely have another meeting to talk about those other things and maybe have a chance to have inspectional services come in with data at that time.
Thank you, Councillor King. So my only hesitation with adding just commercial is they're not the only large offenders. The other large offenders are plan unit developments, larger, 4 family, 5 family, 6 family, because a property manager is responsible for snow removal, and that usually doesn't happen. So I personally would not be comfortable just doing commercial because I don't think they would fall under that, which are also the big offenders. So, I mean, like I said, like we can always talk about this again. It seems like this conversation isn't really going anywhere. So what are we going to do? Under discussion. Councillor Merkel.
Thank you, Chair Varela, not being a member of the committee. And I want to thank the Ward 2 councilor for the clarity and the update that the fine increases to, and please correct me if I'm wrong for what you just read from the Muni Code, that it's $50 for the first offense and $100 for additional offenses, and yet we're still fining at the old rates. So it probably wouldn't be best to make any changes until we get clarity on, because we could move for an increase on what they're being fined without taking any action, because the increases were approved previously, but not being enacted, if I understood what you had said correctly. So that would be another reason to not take any action tonight until we get clarity on if they plan to for next season already to start increasing and what's in our code already. Thank you.
All right. I would entertain a motion. Councillor Smith.
Just one note before I do. Inspectional service is unavailable tonight because of a previously scheduled engagement. So, but I would like to move that this remain in committee.
Very good. Councillor Smith moves this to remain in committee, seconded by Councillor Lapa. All those in favor? Let the record show I see 3 hands plus my own, so that matter remains in committee. All right. Great. 16 minutes. I love it. All right. Number 66. Get on up here, Ray. Here we go. All right. Meets to discuss snow removal best practices and enforcement. Would you like to start off, or you want to hear?
I would love to hear from the council.
All right, let's roast Ray, guys. I'm just joking. Let's go. Councillor Jalapa.
Thank you, Chair Varela. Ray, I'd love some clarity. So on this, and we and I have spoken about this a little bit. I spoke with Katie a little bit about this. Yeah. On the city's website, there is it's an ArcGIS and a GIS map of high priority sidewalks and paths. And I was wondering if you could discuss a little bit about what that means and what that means in relation to the rest of like the snow clearing work that you all do.
So Obviously, DPW prioritizes roads first, right? We have to keep the roads open, and the roads that are priority are obviously the main arteries to the schools, main arteries to the hospitals, main arteries for police to get there. The second one is bridges, third one is hills, and then the fourth would be secondary streets, dead ends, cul-de-sacs, and so forth. We have a similar type rating system for our sidewalks. We have roughly about 25 miles of sidewalks that the city maintains. That's roughly about a quarter of the same miles in the street. We follow the same practice. We do primary routes to schools, primary routes to MBTA routes, and we systematically work our way through.
And how do they relate to each other? Are they worked on simultaneously? Or, I'm imagining the high priority sidewalks are not done before the main roads, right?
No, they're done concurrently.
Okay.
The high priority are done concurrently and then throughout remaining.
Okay. I think that is fine for me for now. Thank you.
Okay.
Councilor Presnewski and then Councilor Davis.
Thank you, Chair Barella. Ray, how much equipment do we have to do 25 miles of sidewalks?
Not as much as I would like.
What do we have for equipment?
So currently, right now,
Just for sidewalks?
yep, I'm looking at that right now.
Eight bodies for 8 pieces of equipment?
That is correct.
And when there's a snowstorm, a regular snowstorm, not something big or something smaller?
Anything over an inch, we call all 8 pieces in. If it's under an inch, we just deal with one. We deal with it with one piece.
All right. I know that one of the topics about snow removal, and I hope we do take a deeper dive into this and get some more data about it, is the fact that the city has a responsibility to, for its own sidewalks. And when fines are given out, people say, well, I didn't shovel my sidewalk. Look across the street, the city didn't do theirs. I think there's a little bit of a responsibility of leading by example over here, but it all depends on what we have for manpower and what we have for equipment, and again, the priority part of it. And it'd be nice to be able to give these people a straight answer as to what their responsibility is and what the city is doing about it. So I do think 8 pieces of equipment is not much at all, especially when you have a decent amount of snow.
Agreed, but it is more than we've had currently. 2017, we had 3 pieces. We've, taken on more responsibility over the years of more sidewalks, and we've actually added more pieces of equipment.
2015, we called in the National Guard, too.
That is correct, but they did not do any sidewalks.
Very good. Very good. Just to piggyback on that, Ray, those pieces of equipment, can they also be used for other types of maintenance with the city, or are these specifically just for snow removal?
7 pieces are supplied by a contractor. The other pieces are supplied by the city.
Very good. Thank you. Councilor Davis.
Thank you, Chair. Not being a member of the committee. So I'm also curious about equipment. So we've got 8 for sidewalks, and then
Primary response, we have 8.
okay, and then for streets, it's different equipment.
Correct.
And what's the number on that?
For the streets, which year would you like? This last year?
This last year, yeah.
Last year for total. $66 pieces.
And then has that also similarly gone up
Negative.
as the,
Actually, the pieces for the streets have actually gone down over the past 10 years. We've systematically noticed a drop. In 2017, we had 66 pieces. In 2019, we had 59. In 2023, we had 46. And these are just contractor pieces. I'm not even talking about city. City pretty much remains steady. We had 70 pieces in 2024. 42 pieces in 2024, 36 pieces from contractors in 2025, and 34 pieces from contractors this year.
and then my understanding is for the bigger snowstorms, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a renting out from, like, you're not just using equipment that you actually have year round, but there's also other employees coming in or extra equipment coming in that's being rented?
We've rented equipment to offset the lack of contractors or availability for contractors, and then we've increased our city staff and hiring seasonal staff to try to augment that as well.
Okay. Yeah, the amount of equipment that we have going down is concerning. I think about, and just where my head's at is thinking about the climate crisis and that we know that storms will become more intense, more frequent, and I'm wondering if...
Counselor, correct me, which pieces of equipment went down? We rented the pieces of equipment because contractors weren't available.
So you said last year we had 66 pieces of equipment for streets, and in the past it was up to 70?
Yes, because contractors are showing up less. The city numbers are still remaining the same.
Okay, I understand. Yep. But I just, still, I think, bigger picture, I wonder if, just snow mitigation needs to be a part of the conversation of climate mitigation. I'm wondering if your office has had conversations with like the sustainability department or the mayor, or think that you should, as we look at the next 5 to 10 years of how maybe there'll be a need for much more equipment.
I mean, we have post-storms and yearly storm meetings after action about the winter all the time. And what makes this one a little bit difficult is last year we had about 36 inches of snow, and it was actually spread out more often. So we had a lot more rain and ice events versus this year where we had 2 larger snow pushing events. So yes, we do talk about it, we do look at it. We do also we've been trying for the past 3 or 4 years to initiate a brine system, trying to switch to liquid brine, which is hopefully trying to apply less product or less salt to the roads. So we are trying to look at easier ways and faster ways and better ways to mitigate the impacts to that.
Councillor Turowski, then Councillor Flynn, then Councillor Sidoriak.
Thank you, Chair Varela, not being a member of the committee. I wondered if there is a way, first of all, thank you for everything you did this year, because I appreciate that you were hard at work for a long time and you picked up the phone every time I called. So thank you so much, Mr. Joden. Is there a way, so I'm thinking of, I'll pick Derby Street. So let's say the city shows up to plow in front of Fortin Park, and there's maybe 2 businesses on either side. Is there a way where the person that shows up with, this is a sidewalk, I'm sorry. If you show up to do the sidewalk at Fortin Park, is there a way that the person that shows up to do that can just say, it is more efficient for me to just keep going down Derby, do these next 2 properties, and in the morning I'm going to send an email and a picture to inspectional services and said, I did this, can you please write them a ticket? If we can report sidewalks that need cleared, why can't people that are doing this work and just do it and then find the business for it?
So the city right now is currently at 25 miles of sidewalk. If we start taking on a little bit extras that we ask the residents for help to try to make up that difference, that's going to take away more resources that are available. So we could look at it, but it comes at a cost. It's not about what we can do, it's about what we don't get to.
Great, thank you.
Councillor Flynn.
Thank you, Chair Varela, not being a member of the committee. Speaking of the subcontractors, do you think part of the reason that we're having a problem getting more subcontractors is our fees less than other cities?
No, I think our contract is pretty healthy.
Okay. And do you think, have we added any stipulations or any insurance issues that they might have said, you know what, I don't want to go to Salem for liability-wise? And
funny you mentioned that. No, we've actually got the best insurance rates around, no pun intended. We have not raised our insurance rates.
Why do you think that we're having less contractors come to Salem?
I think a lot of it has to stem from a lot of mom and pop businesses that they can't carry the insurance premiums from year to year to year if they're not making it. Chapter 30B tells us that we cannot pay for goods and services until we render service. So which means these people that are paying for money to put their truck on the road, fix it, maintain it year to year to year, to have it on it, and pay for an insurance premium, and if they're not making the money to make it up, they're not going to do it. No, that's one reason.
And one last question. With the snow, Salem.com, do you kind of triage the worst ones when they come in, as far as if you have 100 calls or emails? Do you try to pick the worst ones first, or are you just going in order until the list is completed?
It's a case-by-case by email, so it depends. Depends on when we receive the email. If we're in the storm, we have the ability to access it right away. If it's after the fact, we'll reroute resources as needed.
And do you go to the list is completed, or is there a point where you just...
No, we continue. We currently go through the list and we keep going.
Thank you, and I appreciate the hard work you did this year. You always did return my call as well.
Thank you, Counselor.
On the record, honestly, thank you.
Councilor Sidoriak.
Thank you, Chair. As not a member of the committee, so echoing what the ward warden counselor said, I truly do appreciate you and your staff's time understanding the assignment and working tirelessly to help people with the snow removal. I'm hoping you can expand on what are your prioritization processes, whether it's through email or not, in determining where to actually send your resources to. So for plowing, I know you mentioned case by case.
Case by case by dealing with the snow.com emails.
But there's no actual process. There's no, like, if we were to look back, if there was like an audit to determine if someone actually jumped the line or not, there isn't any sort of numerical value as to how things are being prioritized.
Not every email needs a situation that needs to be addressed. So the question is, are the situations being handled when resources are available? Yes.
Outside of email, how are things prioritized?
They are all pre-planned out on snow maps, and they are prioritized by pieces of equipment.
How is that communicated to contractors?
We actually sit down at the beginning of the year. We actually go over a code of conduct of how to operate, and then we actually go over and assign them a plow district map.
But there's no like day by day, beginning of the week sort of, hey, we just got hit with a storm. We have these expectations for you. Or
we do it by storm. So what we do is we have spotters that go out on each and every individual storm. We spot, we check, and we address them either during the storm if we notice it, or we'll deal with after action. I have an after action after every single storm, and we have communication with contractors that we actually keep a call log on top of this, that we log every single call and every single email.
What's the documentation of the after action?
Internal. Just from
internal conversation?
It's just internal conversation with my administration crew.
Okay. And then what are the process for recruiting, vetting, procurement of contractors?
So we put out our contract in September. We put out a pretty healthy sign-on bonus. We have some pretty healthy bonuses that are in the contract that if contractors meet and perform well, then they will receive those bonuses.
Is there any sort of documentation of what does it mean to perform well?
Yes, it's outwritten in the snow packet.
Oh, okay, so there's a snow packet that's publicly available?
Yep.
Okay. And then what's quality control look like? At least me, I've received a lot of comments of a contractor came through, they didn't actually plow, or they did it in a certain way, or maybe they actually put snow in front of someone's driveway or their garage. So what does the quality control look like?
I mean, quality control could always be better, let's be honest. Especially when you have a lot of new contractors, especially when you have contractors that have worked 35 hours. Quality control can kind of drop off, but we encourage residents to always call, again, snow.com, call the office, especially during the snowstorm. The sooner we know about something, the sooner we can address it.
So that's essentially the mechanism for quality control. You have spotters, but the spotters are not.
The spotters are
continuously going.
Right. I have 4 spotters that have 4 different zones that they care for.
And then, so I got 2 more things. One is to you, one is the council. How can we help you? Like, what are the challenges you're facing? A lot of people talk about funding. Maybe there's some regulatory constraints, but like, obviously, I mean, there's 2 ways to go about it. We could talk about climate change and that maybe this unprecedented storm is going to constantly happen, or it's just an unprecedented storm. So how do we really want to plan for that? But like for you, for snow removal, what do you need?
Snow removal or snow plowing? There is a difference.
I'm sorry, snow plowing.
No one understood, Counselor. So I like to make you laugh, so I'm trying to break the ice. So unfortunately, the biggest thing that I can ask for help for is just the residents to be patient. We have systematically less contractors year to year to year. We systematically have less and less pieces out there doing the road. We're taking on more responsibility for sidewalks. Just be patient. We're getting there. The second half of that is this year we've noticed a lot of residents and contractors pushing snow out into the street. That's very hard for us. If we have to go back, if we already plowed the road and we have to go back and take a huge mountain that's now out in the roadway and take it somewhere, it's going to go to your neighbor or it's going to go somewhere else. It severely inhibits our ability to keep the roads open. So if you're asking how you can help me, patience. Ask your residents to be patient. Ask your residents to have the time to sit there and reach out to us during the snow.com. Bring some concerns. More voices are better. It takes a village.
And so finally, for my time, I appreciate everyone's patience. We've all received a lot of comments. I put out a Google form in my newsletter and received a lot of feedback and sort of synthesized it into analysis that I'd like to write up in a memo to the mayor that talks about, one, just safety, talking about sight lines with snow mounds put on corners of streets, narrow streets, making it difficult for emergency response vehicles to get through. I think hopefully this conversation gets extended. We've got a lot of time before the next winter, but this shouldn't just be asking questions to the city. Or at least we create a selection of questions that we can send to you, and then we can have a comprehensive list of answers. Sure. Also, it seems like there are gaps in services and expectations, and if there's an opportunity for City Council to assist the city to close that gap, we need to do it instead of just, let's have a meeting, we do a discussion, and that's it. We do the due diligence, checking the box. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chair. For someone unprepared, you're doing great. You're not unprepared. He's got so many answers. And I'm probably a reason for that. I should have sent you an email. I meant to email you with some of these questions. I'm just going to, I have a similar amount, but they should be fairly quick, I hope.
Sure.
Have you ever, do you turn away any contractors?
No.
Because we're trying to find, it's that desperate to find them.
I don't turn down any contractors because I love more pieces. I love flexibility.
Yeah. Okay. At 122 to 393 an hour, I think, are the rates, and a $1,000 signing bonus, if that's correct. Sounds right to you?
I have to go through to check the prices, but I know there's a $1,000 sign-on bonus, yeah.
What is the insurance run for these guys?
$100,000 and $300,000 per incident.
Well, I mean, their premiums are going to be different for every single vehicle because it's a vehicle thing, but I mean, generally, are they?
The minimum, I would assume. I would have to check back at that.
Okay. It just seems odd that we can't seem to find people, and I think we're not the only city that has this issue.
We are not. Every city in town go through this. I have monthly meetings with every single surrounding DPW, and they are all going through the same things. In fact, it's actually coveted that we actually hide our snow rates and don't show them to each other, just because we want to be the most proactive.
And so you do. My other question was, do you talk to other cities? That's great.
Yep.
I think we hear constantly from residents, oh, it's better in Beverly, it's better in Peabody, and then you go on a Peabody Facebook page and they say the opposite. So I don't know if there's that much truth to it. Is anybody doing something different?
I think this is funny because I was actually having lunch at the same time over in Peabody, and they were actually yelling at the Peabody people. They were like, "Oh, they stink. Salem did it better." And so I think it's where you go. But to answer your question, yes, I'm actually reaching out to actually do a study on how other people do it, how many sidewalks, what the hours, what do they spend. I'm gathering that information, and I hopefully will have some of those results shortly.
Thank you. Have you implemented a new system where you optimize the routes and give that to contractors? Is that something that you are working on, or is that something you already do?
We are looking at route optimization, but it's a while out.
It's a while out.
Yeah. And it's a while out because, unfortunately, there's the track of less of contractors versus the route optimization is ever changing. So we're trying to get ahead of it.
Okay. And then how do you do the bike lanes? That was something that came up, was that the bike lanes. And I know believe it or not, people bike here in the winter. Let's say North Street.
That was a trouble for us this year.
The wrong one for you, but
That was a struggle. I did have discussions with the transportation director on this, and we will be changing how we handle that moving forward.
It's good to know, because it did cost a lot of people the ability to get to their jobs because they do rely on a bicycle and they do go that route, even in the dead of winter.
I understand.
And so, okay. In terms of, there was this idea floating around about, this is the Ward 1 counselor said, shoveling, plowing, whatever you want to call it, removing snow from in front, from a sidewalk and charging the owner of the property for that service in order to offset that cost. Is that something you could ever take on with already having 25 miles of sidewalk to service? Would you be able to expand staff? Is that something you could ever do? I know it's been floated here as an idea.
Short answer, yes. I've been in contact with the building department, and we're looking at sending up contractors for after the fact, snow removal and billing the residents. So we did have that conversation, just nothing came to fruition yet.
Okay.
Again, the building commissioner is looking for compliance, not penalization.
And that would give instant compliance that we were in control of, it sounds like. You could make it a pass-through cost, maybe charge the fine on top of it so that we pay the contractor, but we keep $100. Does that?
We would have to look at that. There's some things to be done if the city's going to be accepting those costs that, we're already paying quite a bit for snow removal right now currently. So if we're accepting more cost to carry that on the front end, it's just something to be discussed.
Right, because because there's no guarantee the ticket gets paid. It doesn't get paid in a timely manner, certainly, and you require 48 hours, I believe, for all invoices to come in.
That is one of my requirements from my contractors, yes.
Correct, okay. For the last question here, would you ever entertain or explore or look into the idea of leaving cars on the street and plowing down the middle? Many cities in this country and in the world do not offer curb to curb because it's a lot of moving pieces to get cars off the road. It clogs up our garages where people typically park year round. It also makes it really difficult for seniors to go out in a snowstorm as it's beginning to move their car and then walk home. Would it be possible to plow the cars in, thereby protecting the sidewalks from the snowbanks being pushed on them, and then letting people dig out their cars when they need them? And space savers would probably come in. I think we do a good job here in Salem of space savers. That would become a thing. So that would be a big shift. It would be a big shift in procedure. Is that something that you think we could explore or do?
Honestly, Counselor?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Why not?
No, that's a fair question. So right now, we plow the streets, and we do okay, but we could do better, right? Because we don't really get it curb to curb now, do we? And even if we do, what happens? The residents kind of throw it back onto the street, right? It's a tabletop tennis game. We know it. You know it. It's going to happen. If we don't do it, one, it'll limit the amount of equipment that I already have. It won't get down streets. Two, the claims will come out of the woodwork because the vehicles will get damaged. And then three, emergency vehicles won't be able to make it down. Delay times in that. And residents right now won't even shovel a parking space. So how can we put that burden on them on top of that?
Okay. And my thought is that it would not be all streets. For example, Howard Street's a good example of already a very, very narrow street. You can't, there's different streets around that just could never have that happen. But it's not something that you think we could do as any kind of policy.
I think any thought-out process like that would have to be heavily vetted through the police department and the fire department.
Yeah.
Because it's ultimately going to impact them and my ability to provide them services to respond.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, thank you. No, I agree with Ray. I know that would be a claims nightmare. I mean, with slick snow, heavy machinery, you're going to hit a car. Also, just to note, as far as, I know this is going to be another conversation, but I think if the city was responsible, if there was a repeat offender of not shoveling their sidewalk and the city does that, there would possibly be a mechanism through a lien on their property taxes as far as a fine, or hey, we pay, you have to pay us now to shovel. We shovel for you. This is what it costs. Lien on your property. We have about 8 minutes. We're not going to take public comment, but we have 8 minutes with you guys. So hands up. Who wanted to talk? Go, Councillor King first.
Thank you. I really appreciate all the work that you did this winter. I will note, I think that we're definitely missing some people in the room. I know that the mayor's office handled a lot of the communication with the public where I do have a lot of questions about that process, and I'm not able to ask those questions because those people were not present. I think that was a huge part of all the frustration, the lost patience from people in the city. I think a lot of that came from a lack of clear and prompt communication from City Hall, which is not on you, so just saying that. I also think there was a lot of confusion because we moved cars between the parking enforcement department and Lieutenant Tucker's team. I personally got mixed messages from different departments on like when we were supposed to be moving cars, where cars were supposed to be going. So I frankly am so happy we're having this conversation with you, but I also feel like we're really missing some really important voices in this conversation. I would love to, I hate to say this, revisit this again, because I think that we're really missing something important there. My question is, between your own department and those 3 other departments that I just mentioned, what is the current procedure for like coordination between departments during a storm? Do you have like a control?
During a storm, before the storm, we are in...
All 3,
Okay.
I guess I'm curious.
So we start actually talking as soon as probably 72 hours before the event. We're actually all talking with the traffic department, the chief of police, the traffic department, the mayor, mayor's aide, parking garages, school department, superintendent, the building grounds. We're having those conversations up until the time that we decide to implement parking bans and starting our snow operations. From there, we segue, and then we obviously do the snow because we're dealing with snow, and then we meet on staggered times throughout the storm.
Okay, so you have recurring throughout the storm meetings as well?
That is correct.
Okay, fantastic. All right, my second question is about the snow email. A slight suggestion, I do think...
I love suggestions.
An auto response that says like, hey, we got your email, and if it's small enough, we're just going to try and address it. You might not receive an additional response from a human, but if it's a bigger thing, we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.
We did discuss that, and we're probably going to be implementing that.
Okay,
So
great, thank you.
you.
'Cause I do think some people just think it doesn't go anywhere, and I know you guys read it, I know, but I just...
It makes sense, Counselor. I understand.
Thank you. And I would suggest also, because I know that often, on especially the horrendous days, City Hall is often closed. It might be a wonderful time to maybe have like I'm thinking like the constituent services staff for the mayor's office, like work from home and help handle the snow email, and maybe help with responding or something where people could actually get in there and help your team with that. I don't know if that's something you'd be open to, just a suggestion. But
I can carry that conversation with the mayor and see what he says.
just figure we have the staff, we might as well help with the communication piece of it so your team can focus on the roads as we're
Sure.
at that. And then my last quick question, people who accidentally file snow things in C-Clip Fix, do those get routed to the correct spot? Like someone's monitoring that even if they put it in the wrong spot?
Short answer, yes.
Okay, great. I will leave it at that, hoping that we have another conversation at some point. Thank you.
Possibly. No, I think we need another conversation about this. All right, guys, we have 5 minutes, so let's keep it short and brief. Councillor Jalapa, then Councillor Sidoriak.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be real quick. You mentioned the North Street bike lanes were a challenge. An outside observer may have noticed they didn't get touched for, I think, until March. Could you describe what that challenge was?
Available bodies, in a nutshell.
Available bodies. So where are the North Street bike lanes on that priority list?
They were a priority that did not make it there.
Okay. So it was purely just, we had to wait until the snow was melting in like March, I think, before there was a body that was able to clear that with the equipment that we had.
I hear what you're saying, Counselor.
Is that a no? Is that a yes?
It was not touched, no.
Okay. The last thing I just wanted to mention is just I appreciate the patience of the Ward 6 residents. I think we're one of, if not the last ward to, for you all to finally get around to doing the snow removal, and someone has to be last, right? We get that. I think some of the residents waited until it actually melted, where they were able to park on their street again. And just my request of the next time that we have one of these storms is I would just hope that that list gets shuffled around a bit so my ward doesn't have to wait quite as long. Again, I understand someone has to do that. It'd be great if they didn't have to do that in 10 years when it happens again. Thank you.
Councillor Zodiac.
Thank you, Chair. Now, as a member of the committee, I'll make this quick. It's not really a question. I mentioned that I put out a survey. One of the sort of questions within the survey is commendations. And I do want to mention that there were residents in Ward 3 that wanted to commend the effort of your office and the work that you're doing. And I also want to mention, I will not put names out there, but there were commendations of residents who in freezing rain were cleaning off sidewalks of entire neighborhoods, and we're just helping each other out. And I would want to make that known that it was a collective effort, and I know we've been giving you, at least me, a little bit of flack, but it is appreciated not only by this council, but by people on the ground. I just want to make that known. Thank you.
Councilor Davis, Councilor Presnowski, then Councilor Smith. We have 2 minutes, guys, so keep it brief.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for me, too. I know we didn't talk as much as the ward councilors, but I think I may have sent you 2 emails, and I got like 1-minute responses, so that was impressive and appreciated. The 25 square miles of sidewalks, can you break down how much of that is, or is that all city, or can you break down?
All city sidewalk.
That's all city, and then you probably don't have this, but our other side, or kind of what percentage of our sidewalks that we're dealing with, are they city, residential, business? The reason I'm asking is I wonder if there are cases, I mean, sometimes it's obvious, but I wonder if there's times where people might have the perception that something is a city sidewalk and have that frustration, but it's completely not the responsibility of the city.
That is a fantastic question. I'll have to break out that data. I know what you're asking, and so yes, there is a percentage that we do that is not city-owned.
I thought that'd be interesting.
But I will get that information.
And I think it relates to the other matter that we tabled briefly.
Yeah.
I just want to zero in on Councilor Sidoriak's last question of like how we can help. I know, like, yes, we should, and we do, I think, ask people for patience, but knowing absolutely nothing about snow removal, I have not worked in the field, and so these questions might not make sense, but no, it wouldn't help if there was more funds available for more full-time employees under you, or more equipment that the city owns that you're not reliant on. Not enough contractors are coming in, there's not enough people available. I know a lot of the answers that you had tonight were purely about bodies and equipment.
Right. So again, I'll try to be brief. Every snow year is different every year, and you just need to be fluid. So the short answer to that, I don't know that answer. Do I need more equipment? I got a lot of equipment. Do I have enough guys? I could always use more, but again, what's fiscally responsible? And I think that's the balance that we always have to deal with. Do I buy that specialty piece of equipment and have it sit there for 10 years? Or do I find out ways to do it other ways? I want to thank you guys for inviting me up here. I'm obviously will come up again if you guys want. I'm always available to answer questions. Please feel free to reach out to me individually, and I'll definitely have those conversations with you. I also want to invite any of you next snow season. Please come. I will put you in a plow truck. I will show you how we operate. You could stay for the whole storm, 25, 35 hours of it, and we can work, and you could see what we face and what we're looking at. And hopefully there'll be affinity for having a better understanding of that.
Councilor Presnowski.
Thank you for that invite for a ride-along. Thank you, Ray.
I don't get paid overtime.
Thank you, Ray, for being here and answering my questions. And just like our ward councilor says, I think you get back to all of us very quickly, so we appreciate that. My question is, you said that we have 35 contract plowers that we had this year.
That is correct.
What's the... what would be your best number of contractors that we should have? What would be your wish list number that we would?
My wish list would target 60 pieces from contractors.
So we're
back to about 10 years ago.
Okay, so that's about 25 more contractors. That's your
25 more pieces, yeah. So my contractor amounts for the last years, so. In 2017, it was 33, and this year I actually have 15. So if you want to do the math sporadically, that's the drop-off.
Thank you. North Street, oh boy, probably the most complaints that I got.
I hear you.
Were from North Street. Is it because we didn't have contractors there? Is it because the design prohibits easily removing the snow, or is it both? What would you like to see done on North Street?
what will I like to see, or what am I going to do? So what am I going to do is I'm going to staff it appropriately and make sure that I get as curb to curb as well as possible throughout the primary section. And I will assign it to the appropriate piece at the appropriate time.
All right. Are there any new trends that you see other municipalities? The reason I'm asking this is because I've seen other municipalities, they use a whole different philosophy where they push the snow into the middle of the street, and then they have this big snow machine eat it up and melt it or dump it somewhere else.
Gotta love Mike, huh?
And it's progress, and I don't know.
Yeah, he's got that nice machine, right? That Oshkosh snow blower that does really, really nice. I think I do better in a front end loader, to tell you the truth. I think I can move faster snow than he can put it out in the street. I'm just saying. I'll put that up to a race.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We're out of time. Again, thank you, Ray, for coming. And again, so everyone's knowledge is that Ray is trying not to spend money. He's trying to be as fiscally responsible as possible. If we have more staff, more equipment, who says we have another snowstorm next year or the year after? And that'd be a fucking disaster. I'm sorry, excuse my language. It would be a disaster because we're sitting on equipment we're not using. So I agree. We need to let our residents know they need to be patient with the process. With that, I entertain a motion.
Yeah, seeing as we need to hear from the mayor's office and we need to learn more about inspectional services stuff, technically still, I want to make this point real quick that the snow emergency is still on. You still cannot park on the streets. That was never lifted. It's now April 9th. We need to hear a lot more about this, so I would like to move that this remain in committee.
Councilor Smith moves from the remaining committee. Councilor by Councilor Halapa. All those in favor? Let the record show. I say 3 hands plus my own. Thank you, everybody. Motion carries. Yo, wait, guys, wait. Another motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Like the record show. I say 3 hands plus my own. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right, you got 5 minutes else. Sorry.
A regular meeting of the City Council was held in person on Thursday, April 9th, 2026, at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on April 7th, 2026, at 1:22 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and is live on SATV and Zoom unless technological issues interrupt the transmission. Councilors absent: Councilor Hapworth, Council President Merkel presiding. Councilor Flynn moved to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. I now request that everyone who is able to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilor Prosper. Okay. For Council Flynn's motion to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous minutes, all in favor? So voted. The Salem City Council honors that this land is Namkeg, or fishing place, where generation of Namkeg people from the Pawtucket Band of the Massachusetts tribe lived and passed through for centuries. We acknowledge that this is unceded indigenous land and also acknowledge the Massachusetts tribe who continue to honor and hold this land into the present. Salem's City Council is committed to having ongoing, meaningful dialogue with the indigenous peoples who have presence in Salem in order to dismantle the legacies of oppression and inequities that persist today. Public testimony. Public testimony not to exceed 15 minutes. Public testimony is not a public hearing or question and answer period. Sign-up must occur 30 minutes prior to the meeting. The president shall, depending on the number of speakers, set a time limit not to exceed 3 minutes, which each individual presenting testimony must abide. Tonight, we have one person signed up to speak, and they will receive 3 minutes to talk. And we have Craig Beauregard, if you'd like to come up to the podium.
I didn't know, jumping right in.
Yep. And if you like, please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Craig Beauregard. I'm a resident at 159 Ford Ave. Some of you may know me, Aaron. I think Andy knows me as well. I'm here tonight to discuss and just put a couple open-ended questions out here for the council to consider in regards to the application for some of, I think it was Cross Ave pole application. I first off want to start, I do not oppose the application or upgrading our critical infrastructure, but I do believe there are best practices in construction and safety standards that should be followed and enforced in the city. I'd like to pose some open-ended questions for this council to consider that I've been asked when submitting an identical application to jurisdiction of Massachusetts. I am a senior construction manager. I work in the right-of-way. I work in utility poles. I present at meetings just like this across the state and across New England. Can you make sure you're right on? Yep. So some of the questions, open-ended question I am asked is, what's the duration of the work? How will the constituents be notified of the work or outages taking place? What is your TMP or traffic management plan for safety for pedestrian and vehicle traffic? What's a plan for the hardscape and softscape restorations? How will parking considerations be handled in posting of parking permits for any utility poles or parking spots that will be affected during that work? And how, and if so, does the proposal affect any ADA compliance issues as far as wheelchair access or sidewalk access or general access for any constituents that have ADA issues? And here are some additional questions that I am frequently asked at meetings just like this by councils just like this that I usually can very accurately answer with figures and actual numbers. How many double poles are currently in the city? How many cut and kick poles are currently in the city? How many poles are pending utility transfers? What stages are your tickets in the engine's licensing system, and who is next up make ready to transfer those utilities? What was the duration and frequency of outages during your past applications? Those are, like I said, some general questions, and if this council or the applicant can't accurately provide answers to those questions, I think this approval should be paused until these figures and plans can actually be presented and taken into consideration for any approval. This affects Ward 1, there's tons of polls there. I believe I did share a Google link drive with a photo. It's probably 50 poll locations just in my ward. I know in South Salem, similar work has been done. There's double polls over here. I know from listening to some other city council meetings, there's double polls in the middle of people's driveways that they can't even access. And, this is a giant utility company that had a lot of money, and if this council played their cards right, you can get free sidewalks, you can get free softscape restoration, you can get free ADA compliant crosswalks and handicap access ramps. Just across the street from me, I have 2 ADA ramps that were cut through. Any city that I work in that I do that, I'm on the hook. Usually about 15 grand to restore one of those sidewalks. I know the city doesn't want to pay that, but part of that application fee can be passed on what's cost on the contractor.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's all I had to say. I appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you. That concludes our public testimony. Hearings.
We have continued from the last meeting an order from National Grid and Verizon to relocate one jointly owned pole on Cross Avenue.
Is there anyone appearing in favor? And please state your name and address for the record.
Sabita Mahaber Sheehy, representing National Grid, 44 River Street, Beverly, Massachusetts. And this is to relocate one pole to take care of some aerial trespass issues in that area.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in favor, in person or on Zoom? Please come up, and if you like, state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak briefly. My name is Chris Winton Henderson, and I live on the corner of Bayview and Cross Ave in the Willows, and the pole is going right outside of my house. I do want to say that I had the pleasure of speaking with the city engineer, with Sabita, with our ward councilor, Aaron, and Jay Carroll, and John Girardi. And I just wanted to thank them for all of their effort and information. We met at the site. We looked at other options. We made sure that the pole that was being installed was for secondary electricity only. There would be no primary. There would be no transfer stations applied to any of these, to the pole at the corner of Cross Ave and Bayview. And I just wanted to say thank you for them all taking the time and making the effort to be very thoughtful in what was figured out. We met this afternoon, but we've talked many times, including the prior meeting back in August, September. So thank you all very much. I thought that it was important to recognize their wonderful dedication. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else appearing in favor in person or on Zoom? No? Is there anyone else appearing in opposition? In person or on Zoom? Okay. Do any of the councilors have any questions or comments? Councilor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. Yes, just again wanted to extend my thanks to Sabita for spending another evening with us and for meeting us this afternoon, and also to John Giardi and Jay Carroll. Finally got to meet him this afternoon, our new city engineer. It was great to have a meeting of the minds at this location, and as a veterinarian professionally, I don't really know a lot about aerial trespass and rights of way and tensioning utility poles, so it was an educational site visit, and I really was happy that we were able to find a happy medium. There is a rather mature cherry tree that's probably going to have to come out to make this pole go in. So I'm going to be having a conversation with the tree commission to see what options are available at that location.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the councilors? Okay, Councillor Turowski?
Thank you, President Merkel. I move to close the public hearing.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing? It is so voted. Councillor Turowski?
Thank you. I move that this be granted with the condition that we have a informal request for the tree and acknowledgement that we will not have transformers on these poles, secondary transmission only.
Okay, on Councillor Turowski's motion that this be granted with the condition that there is a conversation about tree replacement and it is second transmission only, and that this be granted. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries.
Thank you.
Appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointment of Katrina Thompson to the Food Policy Council with a term to expire March 26, 2029.
Councillor Turowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councillor Turowski moves that this appointment be confirmed by roll call vote. On a discussion, Councillor Turowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. Thank you very much to Ms. Thompson for her willingness to serve in this role on the Food Policy Council. Sorry, let me just skip to my letter here. Really dedicated to our community, and we appreciate her service to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor King.
I just also wanted to thank Ms. Thompson, who I've had the pleasure of working with in a couple community groups, and she really is a super dedicated person, and I'm so excited to see the insights she'll bring to the Food Policy Council. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councillor Turowski's motion to confirm the appointment of Katarina Thompson to the Food Policy Council, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councillor Davis?
Yes.
Councillor Flynn?
Yes.
Councillor Hapworth? Oh, sorry. Councillor Halapa?
Yes.
Councillor King?
Yes.
Councillor Praznewski?
Yes.
Councillor Smith?
Yes.
Councillor Sidoriak?
Yes.
Councillor Turowski?
Yes.
Councillor Varela?
Yes.
And Councillor Merkel.
Yes. We have 10 members voting. We have 10 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Councillor Turowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for a suspension of the rules.
Councillor Turowski moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, would Ms. Thompson like to come to the podium and speak?
Okay. Good evening, council members and community members. I'm honored to accept this appointment to the Food Policy Council. Food is more than nourishment, it's connection, it's community, and it's culture. I'm inspired and excited to serve alongside others who are committed to building a healthier, more equitable, and more sustainable food system for our city. I look forward to collaborating with partners to create practical, equitable solutions that benefit all residents. And my personal experience as a farmer's daughter and as a food industry professional has helped me connect the realities of the agricultural production with the need for better food access and policy. I'm honored to join the Food Policy Council and ready to work toward the future where healthy, affordable food is within everyone's reach.
Thank you. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's reappointments of the following with their terms to expire. Kevin Jordan, Bicycle Shared Path Advisory Committee, March 26, 2029, and Kristen Masick, Council on Aging, March 26, 2029.
Councillor Turowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Counselor Tarowski moves for confirmation for reappointment by roll call vote. Under discussion, Counselor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. Again, just very appreciative of Kevin and Kristen for their commitments to our community and their willingness to serve more time in these roles. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Tarowski's motion to confirm the reappointment of Kevin Jordan to the Bicycling and Shared Path Advisory Committee and Kristen Masick to the Council on Aging. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Davis?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Halapa?
Yes.
Counselor King?
Yes.
Counselor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Sidoriak?
Yes.
Counselor Tarowski?
Yes.
Counselor Varela?
Yes.
And Counselor Merkel.
Yes. We have 10 members voting. We have 10 in the affirmative and 1 absent. The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
With the mayor's appointment of the following with their terms to expire: Sean Lunn, April 9th, 2029, and Lee Chandler, February 22nd, 2027.
Counselor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move that these be held under the rules.
Counselor Tarowski moves that these be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
With the mayor's reappointment of Gina Flynn to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board with a term to expire on April 2nd, 2028.
Counselor Flynn.
Thank you, President Merkel. I'd like this move that this be held under the rules.
Counselor Flynn moves that this be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept the donation, of Robert T. Lutz, Revocable Trust 2006, the amount of $4,000 for the Park and Recreation Department, Salem Common Bench donation.
Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for adoption.
Counselor Davis moves for adoption. Under discussion, Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. We thank Robert for his generous donation.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Davis's motion to accept the $4,000 donation from Rob Lutz for a Salem Common Bench, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept the donation from DAF Given 360 in the amount of $3,500 for the Park and Recreation Department, Salem Common Bench donation.
Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for adoption.
Counselor Davis moves for adoption. Under discussion, Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. We thank whoever this person was for their generous donation as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Counselor Davis's motion to accept the $3,500 donation from DAF Giving 360 for the Salem Common Bench, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order that is authorized by City Council vote on June 12, 2025, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E.5, for the establishment of the revolving funds for fiscal year 2026. The Charlotte Forden Revolving Fund is hereby amended as detailed below in the fund name and programs and purposes.
Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for adoption.
Counselor Davis moves for adoption. Under discussion, Counselor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. So this is cleaning things up kind of process-wise. The Charlotte Fortin revolving account was created a few years ago to revive revenue from a programming contract, vendor fees, and event rentals. It's been added to the city's online permitting platform under the Plaza Use application, along with Lappin Park and East India Square, so this will streamline event permitting.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Davis's motion to amend the Charlotte Fortin Park Revolving Fund to the SRA Plazas, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We've been ordered that the City Council hereby approves the submittal of the City of Salem's application for the HUD Grant Fund for CDBG.
Councilor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for adoption.
Councilor Davis moves for adoption. Under discussion, Councilor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. So this is something we do annually in order to receive federal funds. The city develops annual action plans, which puts into action the goals and strategies established in the consolidated plan. Something I really appreciate from the city this year, both this year and last year, is its position to reject unlawful conditions. One being that the city will not use federal funding to promote diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI mandates, policies, programs, or activities that violate any applicable federal anti-discrimination laws. We rejected that last year as well, and actually still got approved. So we're going through the same process again. If that condition or any other unlawful conditions are included in the fiscal year 2027 grant agreement, the city will once again not accept or consent to them, which again I very much appreciate.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. I just want to take a moment to dig a little bit deeper into those conditions that the federal government has put on these. When some of us, use our voice to speak up against things that are happening from the federal government and like the impact that has on the local level, this is one of them. We almost didn't get those funds last year. And it was delayed significantly because of this process. The first part of the amendment that was conditioned with this funding specifically references the order that Trump signed on day one targeting trans people, and that if the city supports gender ideology, then you're not going to get this funding. So it does, and I don't think I'm arguing with anyone here, but like this is the impact on, federal politics at the national level. Thank you. At the local level, excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor King.
Thank you. And I thank you to the Ward 6 councilor for bringing up that. I just want to reemphasize something that the at-large councilor mentioned, that we actually did just recently get the funding. So even though they tried to do this last year, the money did still come through. Delayed, but it did still come through. So I'm really hoping that the money still comes through this coming year as well. It sounds like they're not super into enforcement of anything right now. The money's still coming as far as we know. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Davis's motion to approve the submittal of the application of HUD for the Community Development Block Grant funds for July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027, estimated to be around $1,080,000. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 41A, the City Council hereby votes to set the income limit for eligibility for the Elderly Tax Deferral Program based on the applicant's gross income or combined gross income for joint applicants at an amount not to exceed the income limit established for the Circuit Breaker State Income Tax Credit for single non-head of household filers as adjusted annually. This vote shall take effect for fiscal year 2027 and each fiscal year thereafter.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. Move this referred to OLLA, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Councilor Varela moves that this be sent to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, Council President. So there's two orders and one ordinance that we're going to be talking about that have to do with each other. This one is obviously a circuit rider. It will adjust every year. The program is for qualifying senior homeowners to postpone a portion of their taxes until they sell or pass their home. I think this is great. I just think that maybe we should talk about this a little more in committee before we make an informed decision.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Varela's motion to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, this order regarding the income limit for the Elderly Tax Deferral Program. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order that the City of Salem hereby accepts Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 60, Section 3D, authorizing the City of Salem to create a local fund to which taxpayers can voluntarily contribute by check in a box on their tax bill to help low-income elderly residents and people with disabilities pay their property taxes.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move that refer this to Ordinance License and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Councilor Varela moves that this be sent to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So this is a state law allowing residents to voluntarily contribute directly on their property tax bill to help low-income elderly residents and residents with disabilities to cover their property taxes. Again, I think this is fantastic. I think we just need a little more conversation with this. So again, I move that we talk about this promptly in OLLA.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, the matter of authorizing the city to create a local fund to assist qualifying residents with property tax payments. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to increase in the maximum benefit limit for the senior resident tax work abatement program to $2,000.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move for adoption for first passage and then co-posted, or referred to OLLA, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Councilor Varela moves for first passage and also to refer this to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So again, this is definitely something that I think is pretty cut and dry. But again, since we're talking about the two other orders, figure we should probably put this in committee as well and just have a little overarching discussion about this as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion for first passage and to refer to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, increasing the maximum benefit limit for the senior tax work abatement program to $2,000. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Mayor's informational page.
We have an informational letter from the mayor relative to the Sam Zoll Leadership Award Selection Committee.
Councilor Prosnewski.
Move that this be received and filed.
Councilor Prosnewski moves that this be received and filed. Under discussion, Councilor Prosnewski.
Thank you. Again, the letter for Sam Zoll's Leadership Award selection. I think most of us know that when Sam Zoll was the mayor of this city, he saved us from a wrecking ball of urban renewal, and the city wouldn't be looking like it does today if it wasn't for his leadership. And it wasn't just as the mayor, but when he was in government, when he was a judge, we have a building named after him. This is very apt, this leadership award, so I'm proud to sponsor it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Prosnewski's motion that this be received and filed, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. City of Salem, April 9, 2026, ordered that the rules and orders of the City Council, Section 35, Rules of Committees, number 2, shall be amended by deleting 6 p.m. and inserting in place thereof 5 p.m. to read as follows. Number 2, all committee meetings shall be held on a day and time appointed by the committee chairperson, except that no committee meeting shall be conducted prior to 5 p.m. on any day unless the majority vote of the members in said committee. And I recommend this be held under the rules until April 23rd, 2026 for the second reading.
Councilor Varela moves that this be held under the rules until April 23rd, 2026 for the second reading. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So the meaning of this is I believe that we need a little more flexibility within our committee meetings. I'm not sure when the 6 p.m. was put in place, probably many years ago. I understand that this is really about, the whole, people work 9 to 5. I think that's absolutely changed the last couple of years. And just to let everyone know, this is just about flexibility for our committees. For example, if I, as chair of OLLA, if I was scheduling a meeting, I'd make sure that everyone could actually, always could come at that time. And I think it's important because not only do some of us have young families, but we also, in all these committee meetings, bring in department heads. And I think it's sometimes a little disingenuous and unfair that, you know, if we have a meeting on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, they leave work at 4 o'clock, and they have to either wait here and come back for a meeting at 6 or 7 o'clock. So this is made to give us a little more flexibility so that we can start our meetings early just for committee, so we can maybe be a little more productive. As you guys all know, you guys are very thoughtful in your conversations. I think it would be germane to have a little more time. And again, this is about flexibility. So I hope my colleagues would agree that, you know, things and times have changed, and so do our rules. So with that, I hope that, you know, we could talk about this and get somewhere with this order. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, I think I saw Councillor King.
Thank you. I love the intention of this, giving us more time to speak. I will say, as one of the people that does work a 9 to 5 and did have 3 committee meetings scheduled this week, that I was not included in any of the planning or asking for my schedule because I wasn't on the committee, but they were all co-posted with the committee of the whole. I think anything earlier than a standard 5:30 start time is going to be like physically impossible for some of us to make. And I'm very lucky I work from home. I don't take the train, right? I think people who work in town and have to take the train home, I do think that like the 6 o'clock is probably cutting it close for some of those people. I know a lot of us make a lot of, I take a lot of sacrifices from my day job to do this job. So I love the concept. I'd love to think about it as a 5:30 instead of a 6. I think that would be a compromise possibly that starts to get there, but it's still a little considerate of those of us that do have 9 to 5s.
Thank you. Councillor Jalapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. I really like this idea. I think that, you know, having it as the rule, or so it's not against the rule to start between 5 and 6, I think is great. I hear the Ward 5 councilor's point of like, let's make sure that people are able to make these things. I think that can be handled on a case-by-case basis with the committee chairs, personally. But you know, we saw earlier today, our committee meeting before this, we had to cut our conversation short because we did not have enough time starting at 6 p.m. So I think this is a great idea. I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Turowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I echo the Ward 5 councilor's comments. This basically makes it impossible for people who work in a different city to attend. I have already adjusted my work schedule to be able to be here at 6 when necessary, and so many of these meetings are co-posted. And it just requires a lot of participation. We can be more productive, but my cup's only so big. And the other, I think, probably more pressing concern here is that this is probably going to cause some conflicts with other meetings that have long scheduled times that conflict with that. I'm thinking about the Port Authority meeting that meets at 5 o'clock on the first Thursday of the month, and frequently has conflicts with committee meetings that happen before this meeting as well. So I don't know that I support this. I think this would make it very difficult. And, you know, we can make concessions and say that not everybody can make every meeting, but when we're, you know, trying to represent our constituents and trying to be present, that does reflect negatively on us if we're not able to attend. And we have run for these positions trying to adjust our schedule, knowing that committees start at 6.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Davis, do you have your hands up?
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, President Merkel. Yeah, I guess for clarity's sake, it seems to me like this isn't saying that committee meetings will from now on start at 5, just that they have the option. I appreciate this as someone that just recently found out about this, and I agree with the Ward 6 councilor that it seems like a lot of our committee meetings tend to be cut really short. It feels like we're always constantly checking the time, and we run out of time. We can't have public comment. It feels like we're just starting to break the surface of some of our concerns. I think having the option and not having this kind of arbitrary rule would be fantastic.
Thank you. Councilor Sidoriak.
Thank you, Council President. Maybe a point of clarification, and perhaps this is better for the 23rd, but it says that it can't be prior to 5 any day unless by majority vote of the members of said committee. When does that vote get held?
Councilor Varela.
Thank you. So it's my understanding, but I get clarity from our city clerk, that if we always have the option to start earlier if we had a majority vote, and that's how it's written currently. So we can always exercise that. Am I correct?
Yes, if there's a subject matter that came up, for example, in this meeting, and you were going to set a date, you could make that like venue or that time change at that full council meeting or at your committee meeting itself to say next meeting we're going to meet at 5. So it could be done in either a full council or a committee meeting.
Thank you. Councilor Varela, you still have the floor.
Thank you. So I just wanted to get back to a few of the comments. I think that I understand some of our counselors have 9-to-5 jobs. Some of us don't have 9-to-5 jobs. And some of us make sacrifices to be here because we have alternative schedules. I think what's uniquely different now than what was different many years ago was that we have a remote option for meetings. And that's very important to state, that if someone was, let's say, in transit, they could still possibly be engaged in that meeting. So for that reason, I think that, and again, this is about the flexibility. I would not, as a chair, feel comfortable scheduling a meeting that maybe a lot of people can't come to, especially co-posted with the committee of the whole. So again, it's a case-by-case basis, but it just gives us a little more flexibility when we need to use it.
Councilor Smith.
Thank you, Council President. I understand what folks are saying here. I think that we have a mechanism in place already to start earlier than 6 o'clock, and that would be through that voting process that was just clarified by Councilor Sidoriak, so I appreciate that. And so maybe we need to just start looking at that and seeing how that works and seeing if we can put something to a vote in order to hold these meetings at those times rather than put this on the books now. Let's see if that works, because I do see that this is going to be an issue for a lot of folks who did sign up to start meetings after 6 o'clock. That is what we all signed up for. This is a very, this is for the people at home, this is a very part-time job. It's meant to be a very part-time job. For a Ward 2 counselor, it's a very full-time job, but it is a very part-time job. It should not be impinging on, it's meant for a traditional 9 to 5, and I understand. I also don't work a traditional 9 to 5. I would like to put my kids to bed, so I actually would really appreciate a 5 o'clock meeting now and again. However, it looks like we do have the mechanism to do that, so perhaps we should start looking at doing that the correct way before we allow it essentially by right. And I will say also that the Zoom option I used it last night for a committee meeting. It actually helps a lot to have that, and so I can see why we should maybe start meetings a little bit earlier. I'm just not sure if we need this right now because we have actually never used this mechanism to start earlier, so it seems like there is no reason to actually vote for this because it's not an issue yet. Once we start to see if people want to start at 5 o'clock and we have that issue, then we could maybe look at it. But right now, no one's ever used this, so why would we put it in by right? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I believe Councilor King was next.
Thank you. I do like the Ward 2 counselor's suggestion. I will say I'm fine, like, on the books with this being 5 o'clock as a possible start time, but I also would love that to be paired with a conversation that, like, has some mechanism for co-posted with Committee of the Whole meetings to actually have to ask for the availability of other members, because I have never been asked for my availability for a co-posted Committee of the Whole meeting that was for a committee that I was not on. That has never happened. I know we haven't had that many, but we've had enough where, like, it's very clear that there's a trend, that there is no mechanism forcing that availability to be considered. So, because I would love to be out of here earlier. I'd be fine with the meeting starting at 5, as long as someone talked to me first so I could coordinate my own work schedule around that. It's when I find out that there's going to be, 3 meetings in 1 week and I have a full work week, that's when I'm very thankful that it's 6 o'clock is the start time instead of 5 every night, because I would have not been able to participate in any meetings this week if they had started at 5.
Councilor Kwasniewski.
Thank you. Just, I'm not sure whether anybody consulted with SATV about this, because they're our conduit to the public, and I'm not sure whether they're available at 5 o'clock, so I don't know if anybody's had that discussion, but I think that's an important aspect to changing the rules.
Thank you. Councilor Jarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I echo the Ward 5 councilor sentiments. If if our opinion is deemed to be important enough that we should be here as a committee of the whole, then we should be asked about our availability as well. I also want to point out again that we had an issue with the remote transmission on Monday. Remote transmission is not the primary mode of communication for these meetings. So I think, in having taken more meetings than I'm comfortable with from a train, it is really hard to hear the microphone a lot of times if you're taking these meetings remotely. And we have a tunnel right before you get to Salem. You always lose the signal there. So I think that's a really big ask, and it's really not something that can be relied on if it's something that's supportive to moving these meetings earlier. I think we need to realize that that's a secondary method and is not often reliable, as we saw earlier this week.
Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. So, point of clarification, my understanding, this might not be because it's not an ordinance, but if we vote this down tonight, it might be possible that we can't bring this back during session. If someone knows that better than I do, please feel free to correct me. If I could make an ask or proposal of the council, let's consider this, the voting to hold it under the rules tonight, and then we can always vote it down on the 23rd. I really appreciate the comments about the committee of the whole meetings. That's something that I've always never fully understood, is why we're going to have some of our committees structured the way that they do and then just do committee of the whole. Every ordinance that we've had proposed in this council so far has gone before OLLA and the committee of the whole. Should OLLA just be the whole council and only look at ordinances and move licenses and legal affairs somewhere else? I don't know. I think there's definitely a larger conversation here about committees. When we started poking at this, I think it's a conversation worth having, but I don't want to exclude this from that conversation by voting it down tonight. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Davis.
Thank you, President Merkel. Agreed on where we should kind of go from here. I just wanted to address the kind of I think that the reason why, at least I haven't seen this, that procedure be used is because at that time, we're not really thinking about coordinating the meeting, right? We're voting to send something to committee, and then the committee chair starts to think about, okay, who's available at what times and whatever else, right? We're not typically thinking when something's on the agenda at a council meeting, what time and what day are we going to have it? We're just not really there yet. I wouldn't want that to be a reason not to continue to have this conversation, which I should. But I agreed that the comments from folks about committee of the whole, everyone kind of being asked about their availability, I think should be a practice going forward too.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Vrella's motion that this be held under the rules until April 23rd, 2026 for the second. Oh,
request a roll call vote.
I'm sorry?
I'll request a roll call vote on this one.
Councilor Vrella has requested a roll call vote. Do I see 3 hands? Seeing 3 hands. On Councilor Vrella's motion that this be held under the rules until April 23rd, 2026 for the second reading. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Davis.
Yes.
Councilor Flynn.
Yes.
Councilor Jalapa.
Yes.
Councilor King.
No.
Councilor Kwasniewski.
No.
Counselor Smith?
Yes.
Counselor Sidoriak?
Yes.
Counselor Torowski?
No.
Counselor Varela?
Yes.
And Counselor Merkel?
Yes. We have 10 members voting. We have 7 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative, and 1 absent. The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. City of Salem, April 9th, 2026, ordered that the Committee on Government Services, co-post of the Committee of a Whole, meet to discuss or review the City Council Chamber policy and reservation form, and I move for adoption.
Councilor Varela moves for adoption. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So, reason for this order is we had some issues this week with our computer and our software and our just audio-visual equipment. This had to do with, I believe, the mayor's office using it for an event, which we always welcome here. I just think we need a little more clarity on if an outside party other than this body is going to use said equipment, we need to have a policy put in place to make sure that everything is put back in order so it does not delay our meetings going forward for that week. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion that the Committee on Government Services, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, meet to discuss council chamber policy. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Jalapa.
City of Salem, April 9th, 2026, has ordered that Veterans Square be named after Sergeant William Anthony Bowley Kilbasa, who was killed in action on December 30th, 1944, to be known as Kilbasa Square, and that the square will be located in Ward 6 at the corners of Herod and Irving Streets. The dedication is being planned as part of the 2026 Memorial Day ceremony, and I move for adoption.
Councilor Jalapa moves for adoption. Under discussion, Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. I'm going to read a little bit here that was given to us by the Veterans Council. William Anthony Bowley Kilbasa was born in Salem on 14th of June, 1919, and grew up at 13 Herod Street. William enlisted in the Army in March 1941, and in December 1944 was assigned to Company H, 2nd Battalion, 101st Infantry Regiment of the 26th Yankee Division. Sergeant Kilbasa was posthumously awarded the Bronze Star Medal and was buried in Luxembourg shortly after his death. He was reinterred in St. Mary's Cemetery in Salem on the 2nd of August, 1948. And as I mentioned, there is a plan to announce the dedication of the square as part of the 2026 Memorial Day ceremony.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Jalapa's motion for adoption that a Veterans Square be named for Sergeant William Anthony Bowley Kilbasa, who was killed in action on December 30th, 1944, to be known as Kilbasa Square, and that square be located in Ward 6 at the corners of Howard and Irving Streets. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Any additional motions, orders, and resolutions? Seeing none, committee reports. Councilor Varela.
Thank you. Give me a moment. You guys ready for the Varela show? Oh my God, there's so much here. One second, guys. Ugh. No, I might need it. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Excellent. Thank you. City of Salem and City Council, April 9, 2026. Committee Ordinances, License, Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of a Whole, to whom was referred the matter discussing an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic. Section 75A, parking prohibitions, towing zone, October resident parking, has considered said matter and would recommend this be discharged from committee.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So voted. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So we had a long discussion about traffic and parking a couple days ago, and believe we discharged this because it's very similar to an order that came in from Traffic and Parking Department as well. So this is fairly irrelevant and kind of mirroring what we're going to be discussing in a few moments here.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion that this be discharged, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Varela.
1 second here. I mixed my stuff up here. Yep. I'm just going to read it. All right. Let's see. City of Salem and City Council, April 9th, 2026. Committee on Ordinances, License, Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom referred the matter discussing ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 75A, parking prohibitions, towing zone, October resident parking, and would recommend adoption for second and final passage.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So voted. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So this is just updating our October resident parking, extending the eligible dates. And again, this is something that just a little bit of cleanup with the city, and it's just, like I said, we started with the October resident parking, and we're slowly amending it as the years go on to make it more efficient and equitable for all neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Smith.
Thank you, President. I just want to mention I had some objections to this the other night regarding certain streets being added and issues with the garage, and I will put those in at a later date as an order. I just want to make sure that the residents know that that can come in later, and this is not a final list. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion that this be adopted for second and final passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. City of Salem and City Council, April 9th, 2026. Committee on Ordinances, License, Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter in order to discuss resident parking rules and how visitor parking passes are implemented. Has considered said matter and would recommend that this remain in committee.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? It is so voted. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, Council President Merkel. I'll be brief about this, and I'm sure my colleagues would love to talk about this. So this was brought in by Councilor Presnewski. Thank you, Councilor. We have a lot of residents who are very concerned about how the traffic and parking passes are implemented. It seems like the visitor passes are very difficult to just facilitate a neighbor coming by or someone coming by a few minutes. It's a very cumbersome process, and we have a lot of frustrated residents here. So the discussion was very productive. It was really the committee trying to figure out a way to compromise with our transportation department on how we hybridize a method of passes and making sure that residents that are either disabled or elderly that have a hard time doing it all on the computer have another easier mechanism to actually celebrate the actual parking program. So again, thank you, Councilor Brzezinski, for bringing this in. You know, these are things we have to compromise with. I understand the city's point of view of optimization and making sure everything is on a software or computer, but it doesn't work for everybody. And as this body knows, we have to be mindful of our constituents and the needs. And you know, maybe an all-out completely digital system is not the right way to go, and maybe we need to like kind of step back a little bit and allow for some flexibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor King.
Thank you. And I do want to thank Director Kucharski for coming in on Monday and again on Wednesday for a separate issue. I do think that the council gave him lots of recommendations, and I'm really eager in future meetings after the mayor and the parking department have had a chance to really discuss things to see, what suggestions they come back with. This is a collaborative process, and I'm thrilled that we were able to voice the concerns of the residents and continue that conversation. And I will just mention as well, I know there was lots of talk of Ward 5, and I'm going to be talking to a bunch of residents in Ward 5 to see if it does make sense for any streets that currently have resident parking for us to possibly modify that. So I'll be doing some door knocking. Answer your doors if I come to your door. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Prosnewski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I think Councilor Varela summed it up pretty well. I just want the public to understand that the old system was upgraded to a system which doesn't seem to work for a lot of the individuals who have tried to use it. There is some sunshine that maybe we can combine both systems and come up with a hybrid system that would work, where the plate readers can still be used, and yet we can have placards put out for those people who find it difficult to call in or register their plates all the time. So this is ongoing. I'm sure that we're confident that we're going to be coming up with a solution in the near future, and I'm optimistic that we'll come up with something that works. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Tarowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. I really appreciated the discussion we had about this topic. It is very nuanced, and there's certainly some things I think we can improve on to make it easier for people. I do want to continue to work on communication between the city and residents as well. We had a little flurry of enforcement in the Willows this week, and a lot of people had forgotten that this is when resident parking starts again in the Willows on April 1st. So I'm talking with some people to maybe try to get some signs replaced with dates on them, trying to communicate better with the neighborhood association and put reminders in a newsletter. But really just communication, more communication is going to be really helpful for this too.
Thank you. Any further any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion that this matter remain in committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. In City of Salem, City Council, April 9th, 2026, Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs co-posted with the Committee of a Whole, to whom was referred the matter discussing an ordinance relative to traffic 4217A, Section 17A, Schedule of Fines and Penalties, has considered said matter and would recommend adoption for first passage.
Thank you. On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So voted. On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So very cut and dry, very simple. This is amending 17A from $25 fine to $70 fine during the month of October for a violation for parking, and replacing it with a $25 fine with a $100 fine for, let's say, the September or the haunted happenings period, or just Halloween period of September 15th through November 1st. And then section 2 would be, right now as it stands, $75 fine for parking for October resident parking, and replacing it with a $100 fine from September 15th to November 1st. I think this is fine. I think we always have the conversation that it might be cheaper to get a ticket than to actually find parking or be an appropriate guest here. So I think this is fine. This kind of gives a potential vehicle infraction. What, I can't even talk right now. I think it's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? On Councilor Varela's motion for adoption for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Varela.
just want to make sure. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm in order. All right, City of Salem and City Council, April 9, 2026, Committee Ordinances, License, Legal Affairs, co-post with the Committee of a Whole, to whom was referred the matter that in order that parking rates for the location identified below be as follows. Congress Street, both sides from Pickering Way to Ward Street, has considered said matter and would recommend it be denied.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? It is so voted. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, Council President Merkel. I'll be brief. I'll let the Ward 1 councilor talk about this. But in essence, I just don't think that this is the right time to implement metered parking on Congress Street. There's a lot of employees that work in Pickering Wharf that utilize that parking. And if we were to meter that, I think it'd be fine, but where it gets problematic is our October rates are very steep. And also, if we do that, like, we need another mechanism for employees to park. I just think that we need to be a little more thoughtful about this, but I'll let the ward councilor talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Turowski.
Thank you, Council President Merkel. Yeah, I thought this was a great discussion as well. This was yesterday, right? In general, parking on the street is a public resource and needs to have some kind of subsidy from the city to be provided. My biggest objection to this is that we were trying to enforce payment from residents and business employees that work there while we still provide free parking for tour buses year-round, 2 spots across the street, right across the street from these places. So I think it's disingenuous to say that we're trying to generate revenue for the city while we're still letting tour buses come in and not pay to use our streets and not pay to use our parking. So I was really happy. Something that came out of this meeting is that there is a plan or a pathway to have tour bus permitting and payment for parking in our city, in the downtown area at least. So I'm really excited to continue that conversation. I chatted with the mayor about it this morning. I think that needs to happen first, because otherwise, if we're letting the tourists, literally letting the tourists park there for free, you could come in on a bus, you could bring your lunch, you could go walk around Derby Wharf and not spend a single dime in the city other than paying for your bus ticket in and out, and that still is a drain on our infrastructure. So once we write that and talk to hopefully some other stakeholders in the area about all of the possible options for employee parking, because there are more, then I would open to considering reopening this discussion. But I think we got to take care of the tour buses first.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion that this order be denied, all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. I will retake that for clarity. Councilor Varela's motion that this order be denied for the Congress Street parking rates. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. I now request that we reconsider the previous committee report that was just have to find which one that is. That was the one for Chapter 42, Section 17A, the schedule for fines that had been adopted for first passage. And I would like to retake that vote amended, that it is for second passage, which is what I had in my notes as well. It's the matter previously to this one.
Sorry, yeah, just throw it in my papers. We're done. There we go.
Okay. So for reconsideration, the motion by Councilor Varela, that to who is referred the matter of discussing ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 17A, the schedule of fines regarding penalties, that we vote for adoption for second passage. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. City of Salem City Council, April 9, 2026. Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole to reaffirm a matter of an ordinance relative to traffic, Chapter 42, Section 56, zones established. Would has considered said matter and would recommend it be denied.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? It is so voted. On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you. I'll keep this brief. This has to do with the Congress Street, so we felt as a committee that why do we even need to adopt this if we did not adopt Congress Street parking? So that's in just what it is.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion that this ordinance not be adopted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. City of Salem and City Council, April 9, 2026. Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of an ordinance relative to fines for failing to remove snow and ice from sidewalks. Has considered said matter and would recommend it remain in committee.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? It is so voted. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So this is, I'm just going to speak candidly. So this was brought in by the mayor who wanted to talk about fines. Again, I know we're all part-timers here and we do our best to schedule meetings and to really take this seriously. It's kind of disappointing that the mayor's office or inspectional services could not send a designee tonight to answer our questions. I understand we're most likely going to talk about this again, but just coming from me as a committee chair, if the mayor and his departments want to submit changes to ordinances and we schedule meetings, I expect them to at least send a designee or themselves if they really want to talk and to advocate for changes within our city ordinances. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. Just building off of what the Ward 7 councilor said, this was in order to talk about increasing fines for removing snow and ice from sidewalks, and that is something that I would definitely like to hear the case for, where are we really expecting increased fines to increase compliance, or is this something that could have just a harsher impact on like elderly folks or other people that already struggle to do their due diligence to comply with the ordinance? So happy to continue this conversation in committee, but that was sort of one of my points from earlier today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Sidoriak.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to add to what my colleague said. If they cannot make it in, at least submit some sort of memorandum, some sort of presentation, materials, resources that justifies these changes. I don't think we should just have these simple changes thrown at us for us to contemplate. I do think that there is a need for figuring out what is that equilibrium for compliance and the rate of the fine, but the case just isn't being made. So would like to see city staff in here, if not some sort of justification through documentation that we could speak to. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Prosnowski.
Just like to thank the Director of Public Services, Ray Jordan, for coming in and really explaining to the council and to the public about the challenges of snow removal and exactly what's been happening in the last few years, and especially this year. So we still have a lot more information to gather from other departments. So hopefully we can come up with some answers for the public on how this is going to be run from now on. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No. Seeing none. On Councilor Varela's motion that this matter remain in committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Varela.
Thank you. Thank you, President Merkel. City of Salem and City Council, April 9, 2026. Committee on Ordinances, Licensing, Legal Affairs, co-post with the committee of whole to meet, whom was referred the matter of an order to discuss snow removal best practices and enforcement. Has considered said matter and would recommend it remain in committee.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? So voted. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So I thought this was a very productive meeting. I was a little afraid it would be the roast of Ray, but it really wasn't. I think that our DPS does a fantastic job with the resources they have with snow removal, and I do commend our DPS director for really trying to just keep things as tight as possible. We never know what's going to happen with a snowstorm. I know that snow fund is kind of like a blank check, but we really try not to spend as much money as possible. We had great conversations about the types of equipment, how much equipment we have in the city, how we rely on contractors, and I really want to just thank Ray for being open and honest about everything he does and the issue with snow. And what came out of this is I really think that our DPS does the best they can, and I would just urge residents, when we do have snowstorms, especially snowstorms back to back, just be patient. The city is working as hard as they can, as quickly as they can, to prioritize what is needed in our city when it comes to snow removal. So again, we're most likely going to talk about this again, but just wanted to thank Ray for being open and honest about the conversation.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor King.
Thank you. Yes, huge thank you to Ray for the great conversation. I'm really looking forward to a future conversation with other departments who are very heavily involved in how we communicate about snow, how we enforce parking and moving cars and additional street clearings. That includes Lieutenant Tucker's team, that includes the parking department, that includes the mayor's office. There are a lot of other departments that really help support Ray and his team and help make sure that the community knows how to best make it so DPS can do their jobs. And I was disappointed to not be able to have those folks at the meeting. I really hope that they can join us at a future meeting. Unfortunately, we can't meet as a big group other than in this setting, because, open meeting law. So, this is the only time we get to have those conversations in a really candid way. And so, I think that was really a missed opportunity, but I'm looking forward to a future conversation.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Sidoriak.
Yeah, I want to thank Ray as well for taking the time to speak with us and answer our questions. I'm looking forward to future discussions about this. I agree as well. I'd like to get more departments in here to speak to the challenge that they had. And I think the core question that I want to get at for the city is performance metrics. I do believe the city is doing the best that they can, but if they are not setting performance metrics to themselves, they're not interrogating them, they're then not following up on them, and how are they going to know that they could do better next time? And I do want to make a note, I've heard this several times from city staff that has come in here to speak with us. I truly appreciate their time. But saying, hey, I'm sorry, this is short notice, I didn't realize this was going to happen, so I'll answer questions, but I have nothing ready for you. I don't want to put this just on the conversation we had tonight. I've heard it from several different department heads. I don't think that's true. Maybe it's a communication error and it wasn't conveyed to that department, but this is a conversation that was set up a month, maybe 2 months ago. And there are other conversations that we've set up, or I know counselors have reached out to the mayor's office about letting them know it's going to be something's going to be coming to council. we need people prepared. We need people to be ready to provide us data, to speak to those performance metrics, so we can actually have a worthwhile conversation, and this isn't just in a black hole and we step away from it. And I hope that's what happens with future conversations, in particular with this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Davis?
Thank you, President Merkel. Yeah, just echoing the thank you to Ray for being here and really kind of enlightening us, and just the request that the mayor and relevant departments be here. I think both the request that they be invited, and that we work around their schedule, and that we wait to schedule the committee meeting until we know that they could be here, so we can make the most of it. But then that they take us up on that offer and actually come here, so we can have an effective meeting. But I won't beat a dead horse over that. I will push back. I think I do hope that the purse strings kind of loosen up a little bit. I understand fiscal responsibility. I don't think that if we get more equipment, more resources, more funding, that equipment's going to sit in a shed for 10 years. We know that the science tells us the exact opposite of that. The more that the water warms up, the more evaporation happens, the more precipitation happens. In the winter, that means a lot more snow. We're going to have to bring the combating storm efforts and snow efforts into the conversation about the climate. It's going to intensify. It's going to be more frequent, and that has to be a priority in addition to fiscal responsibility. But it feels like we're going to hit the head there, and I'm excited to continue that conversation.
Councillor Chorowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. Really, I want to make sure that we give people this was a meeting that we had promised people for months was going to happen, a chance for them to show up and give their comments, and we unfortunately didn't have a chance to get to public comment tonight. So I think giving the public a few more weeks to prepare, if you want to come to this meeting, you can review what we discussed earlier tonight. But I do think they're an important part of the conversation too. We got some emails, even 2 months after we had all these events happen, and people still feel very strongly about it. So I think offering the public the opportunity to comment is necessary in this situation. Really grateful to Ray for showing up, even though we didn't have ice cream like we did at Chicken Nugget's birthday yesterday, Team Nugget. But yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation and seeing what we can do as a community to help.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councillor Varela's motion that this matter remain in committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Communications from city officials? None. Petitions.
We have a petition from Karen Scalea, founder and owner of Salem Food Tours, for use of City Council chambers on Friday, June 12, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. for a city sales ceremony media photo opportunity with Chef Scott Conant.
Councillor Prosnewski.
Move for adoption.
Councillor Prosnewski moves for adoption. Under discussion, Councillor Prosnewski.
Thank you, President Merkel. This is use of the council chambers on June 12th from basically 10 to 11 so that Chef Scott Conant can receive the city seal and have a nice venue to have photographs taken.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councillor Prosnewski's motion to adopt Salem Food Tours use of the chambers on June 12th, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a petition from Michael Parson, Chairman of the South Essex Sewer Board, requesting to make a presentation in the Salem City Council regarding the SESD's operating and capital needs.
Councillor Prosnewski.
Move that this meeting be referred to the Committee of the Whole.
Councillor Prosnewski moves that this be referred to the Committee of the Whole. Under discussion, Councillor Prosnewski.
Every year, the Southeast Sewage District comes and makes a presentation as to their status financially and otherwise, and it gives us, the council, the opportunity to ask questions pertaining to that. So that's what this is about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Chorowski.
Thank you, President Merkel. If anybody has not seen the film Unless Something Goes Terribly Wrong, which was one of the features at Salem Film Fest, this describes exactly the first line that the sewer district is having. That's their problem, is they are trying to find a pathway to remove contaminated waste that has PFAS chemicals in it. So I would really encourage everybody here, and I'm going to try to find a copy of it somewhere, because it really provides a lot of the science background that goes into this discussion, and I think it should be a required watching for everybody who can watch it before we have that meeting. And I'll give you some really good information. So I'll see what I can do to try to get that for us. Really helpful.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Prosnewski's motion that this matter be referred to the Committee of the Whole, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a petition from Kylie Sullivan, Executive Director, Salem Main Streets, to close Front Street as well as Essex Street from New Liberty Street to Hawthorne Boulevard to vehicular traffic for the Salem Arts Festival on Saturday, June 6th and Sunday, June 7th, 2026, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Councilor Smith.
Move that this be granted.
Councilor Smith moves that this be granted. Under discussion, Councilor Smith.
Yes, so this happens every year. Kylie and Main Street Salem are absolutely wonderful. Salem Main Street's absolutely wonderful. She's sent me a whole list of items that she's already thought of, and this goes off without incident. They do have police details. They do communicate with the businesses. They do give a lot of advanced communication to residents as well. They have contingency plans for weather. They let the Salem Trolley know. There is a lot that goes into this. It is very well thought out, so I ask that we grant this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Smith's motion that the street closures for the Salem Arts Festival be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of public guards, taxi operators, and vehicle for hire operators only.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you. Move these be granted.
Councilor Varela moves that these be granted. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
No discussion.
On Councilor Varela's motion that these licenses be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have one public guide license application.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move that this be denied.
Councilor Varela moves that this be denied. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
No discussion.
On Councilor Varela's motion that this be denied, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of claims.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. I move that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licensing, and Legal Affairs.
Councilor Varela moves that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs. Under discussion, Councilor Varela.
We got a lot of claims to go through, so it should be interesting. Other than that, no discussion.
On Councilor Varela's motion that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Unfinished business.
We have Council Smith's notice of reconsideration for the motion made for extended hours for the Warren Museum.
Councilor Smith.
Yep, without going into too much discussion, I move that this be reconsidered by roll call vote, and then we can discuss it there.
Councilor Smith motions for reconsideration by roll call vote. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Davis?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Halapa?
Yes.
Councilor King?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Smith?
Yes.
Councilor Sidoriak?
Yes.
Councilor Torowski?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
And Councilor Merkel.
Yes. We have 10 members voting. We have 10 in the affirmative, none in the negative. One is absent. The matter carries. Councilor Smith.
Thank you, President. I would. This is for some cleanup to do with the double public hearing that we had on this matter. It. Sorry. Oh, I need to make a motion. Yep. Motion to amend the hours for the Haunted Warren Museum, 259 Essex Street, Salem, Mass. 01970, to say weekdays 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and weekends 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. Friday and Saturday.
Councilor Smith motions to amend the approved hours for the Warren Museum for Sunday through Thursday to 6 a.m. To 11 p.m. No change for the Friday and Saturday, 6 a.m. to midnight. Under discussion, Councilor Smith.
Thank you, President. Apologies for that. We're new. And then in being new, sometimes it's hard to figure out where to get information sometimes with the city. And so our Muni Code does state that businesses have a right to be open between the hours of 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. That was incorrect on another city document, which will be amended if it has not already been corrected. So I just want to make sure that it's correct what we're offering this business. I believe at this time they have already moved on. They will not be coming here. It's simply to make sure that we are offering the correct hours that do not get in the way of what our Muni Code says. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Merkel. So I feel a little frustrated about this one. So the applicant came to us looking for 2 a.m. We thought that it was unreasonable. I get it. I made a motion last time that the weekends be till 1 a.m. And the reason I disclosed at 1 a.m. is because about 80 to 100 feet away, we have Gulu Gulu Cafe. They serve alcohol. They're open till 1 o'clock. I think that it's a very reasonable request to allow this business that does not serve alcohol to mirror the hours of someone that does. And the reason and again, I know this applicant probably is not going to come to Salem at this point. However, I think that where I have a problem with this is we have to allow businesses within reason to operate the way they think they can operate and be successful and to draw their clientele. I think that this body is setting a very dangerous precedent of not being business friendly. And if our restaurants by right are able to open till 1 o'clock in the morning, I think it's pretty reasonable to allow that. And the reason that I want to make a stand on this is I honestly don't think that this body should be making decisions like this. I think this is appropriate for licensing. They take a much more non-political approach when it comes to certain matters. And that's where I'm having a little hard time with this. Like, if we want Salem to be different and unique and to attract different kinds of businesses, we need to be open to that. So for that reason, I'd like to make a motion amending Councilor Smith's original motion: weekdays 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., Sunday through Thursday, weekends 6 a.m. to 1 a.m., Friday and Saturday.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Councilor Varela motions to amend the main motion for hours on Friday and Saturdays to be 6 a.m. to 1 a.m., and the Sunday through Thursdays in line with the original motion of 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Seconded by Councilor Davis. All those in favor?
Motion to do a roll call vote?
Do I see 3 hands?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do under discussion first. Okay, under discussion. Councilor Jalapa.
Thank you, President Merkel. This is something that I said at the end of the public hearing. I can appreciate the Ward 7 councilor's argument here, which is that if so close by there's another business that has potentially a higher potential for rowdiness, and if the notion here was, especially for this case, that we were going to try to give them a trial period to prove that this was not an issue, I have a really hard time seeing the argument that 1 a.m. is not reasonable. So I do support this for that reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we continue, as a reminder, this is just a revisiting of the amended hours to be consistent with our ordinance and not a public hearing, and therefore should be limited in discussion or sent to committee. Councilor King.
I will just say I will be voting against this amendment. I'm not thrilled that we are rehashing something that we already decided in a hearing that felt like a really reasonable compromise for the neighborhood and an area where the ward councilor did a lot of hard work to make sure he was trying to get the right balance for what the neighborhood and the business was looking for. Thank you.
Councilor Tarosky.
Thank you, President Merkel. I do want to point out that Gulu closes at 8 on Sundays, and I just really feel like this is not something that would be providing a benefit. We're asking the rules to be bent, and I don't see the benefit to the residents in this situation.
Do we have any additional motions? Seeing none, on Councilor Varela's motion to amend the main motion for hours on Friday and Saturdays be 6 a.m. to 1 p.m., and also to remain the hours from Sunday through Thursday be 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Madam City Clerk? I'm sorry. Okay, so let me reiterate that.
No more discussion?
As I said, as a reminder, this is a revisiting of this is a reconsideration of the hours to not to be consistent with our ordinance and not a public hearing. And I asked the council to consider this being sent to committee if it's going to continue with discussion. Okay, and I will note there were hours and hours of discussion on this with a council that came to consensus on this, and this is a council meeting, and like I said, this is a reconsideration of hours to comply with our ordinance. So I welcome if it's the will of the council to continue discussion, but I would ask for a motion to be sent to committee. Again, on Councilor Varela's motion to amend the main motion for the hours on Friday and Saturdays be 6 a.m. to 1 a.m., and also the Sunday through Thursday hours remain from the original motion at 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll. We did see 3 hands for a roll call vote. We did, yes. Based on Councilor Prasnewski's motion for a roll call vote, and I saw 4 hands.
Point of clarity, we're voting on Councilor Varela's motion now? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, we are voting on the amendment to the main motion, which extends Friday and Saturdays to 1 a.m. and keeps in place Sunday through Thursday, 11 p.m. closing.
Councilor Davis?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
No.
Councilor Halapper?
Yes.
Councilor King?
No.
Councilor Prasnewski?
No.
Councilor Smith?
No.
Councilor Sidoriak?
No.
Councilor Torowski?
No.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
And Councilor Merkel?
No. On Councilor Varela's motion to amend the main motion for the hours on Friday and Saturday to be, for the Warren Museum to be extended from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m., and the weekday Sunday through Thursday hours to be 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. We have 10 members voting. We have 3 in the affirmative. We have 7 in the negative, 1 absent. The matter does not carry. On Councilor Smith's motion to amend the approved hours for Sunday through Thursday to 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Let's see, I'm on anything. And also remaining the Sunday through Thursday hours. Yes, sorry, Sunday through Thursday hours to be 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., and the extension of Friday and Saturday hours from 6 a.m. to midnight for a 90-day trial. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 57B, parking time limited off-street parking areas.
Councilor Smith.
I move for adoption for second passage.
Councilor Smith moves for adoption for second passage. Under discussion, Councilor Smith.
We took this up last time and just moving it through, no discussion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Smith's motion for adoption for second passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Okay, around. Okay, Councilor Prosnowski.
I move that we adjourn.
Councilor Prosnowski, motions for adjournment. All those in favor? All those opposed? We are adjourned.